And I'm a big rooter for CNN, but that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you were doing this in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're only politicized. A lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides can watch. How do you think you're doing with it?
CNN is the place where both sides can watch. And I think, my show is evidence of that. We have lawmakers on from both parties. We'll have Elizabeth Warren on one night. We'll have Ted Cruz on another night. I think lawmakers from both parties should take questions.
When the studio lights came on, it was supposed to be a standard political back and forth. Instead, it turned into a moment people couldn't stop talking about. Bill Maher zeroed in with calm intensity, and Kaitlan Collins suddenly found herself navigating sharper ground than expected. The conversation began routinely, but quickly evolved. Maher didn't raise his voice or dominate through volume. He methodically unpacked the premises behind the questions, challenging their framing piece by piece. The atmosphere shifted almost instantly. Collins continued pressing her points, yet Maher responded with measured clarity. It wasn't loud or explosive, it was precise and deliberate. By the end, the difference in delivery between the two speakers spoke louder than any closing remark.
In federal funding, who advised the president on the legality of telling government agencies that they don't have to spend money that was already appropriated by Congress?
Well, as the OMB memo states, this is certainly within the confines of the law. So White House counsel's office believes that this is within the president's power to do it, and therefore
pressure has followed Karoline Leavitt since she first stepped up to the White House podium. Journalists have scrutinized her responses, particularly on matters connected to Donald Trump and executive authority. One briefing drew particular attention. Collins questioned her directly about the removal of several Justice Department prosecutors, suggesting controversy. Leavitt remained composed. She grounded her answer in executive powers and avoided drifting off message. As the questioning sharpened, her demeanor didn't. What appeared designed to unsettle her instead showcased her steadiness under pressure.
With lawmakers who say that they don't have the power to freeze this fund.
Again, I would point you to the language in the memo that clearly states this is within the law.
And all that happened on Friday night. The administration fired several inspectors general without giving Congress the 30-day legally required notification that they were being fired. I think only 2 were left at DHS and the DOJ. And then yesterday we saw several prosecutors, I believe 12, fired from the Justice Department who worked on the investigations into the president. As you know, they are career prosecutors, therefore they are afforded civil service protections. How is the administration deciding which laws to follow and which ones?
Maher's reaction afterward wasn't just about that single exchange. From his perspective, it highlighted a broader pattern. He described a style of questioning that layers assumptions within rapid follow-ups, creating momentum that can blur the core issue. At the heart of the debate was a straightforward question. Does the president hold the authority to make those personnel decisions? Leavitt consistently framed it as a constitutional prerogative. The discussion, however, expanded into moral judgments and hypothetical implications. Maher argued that when legal parameters are clear, they shouldn't be overshadowed by rhetorical escalation.
They bring lawsuits against you, the prosecutors who were fired, that they will succeed.
We will win in court.
And did he personally direct this, given they worked on the classified documents investigation and the election interference investigation?
This was a memo that went out by the Presidential Personnel Office, and the president is the leader of this way.
As the exchange progressed, a noticeable tactic emerged: broaden the scope, introduce additional angles, and test whether the response weakens. It didn't. Leavitt reiterated her central argument in varied language, declining to wander into tangents. Maher later commented that the moment symbolized a recurring media tension: direct answers versus interpretive commentary. He suggested that the drive for a striking clip can sometimes eclipse the goal of straightforward clarification. In his account, the defining feature wasn't the disagreement itself, but the distinct approaches to handling it.
I'm a big rooter for CNN, but that tells you a lot, doesn't it? I mean, how do you guys think you were doing this in that arena of like, this is a terribly divided country. We're only politicized. A lot of people just hate the other side. And CNN, in my view, should be the place where both sides...
Maher expanded the conversation to critique CNN more broadly. The network promotes itself as balanced and evidence-based, Yet detractors claim that its framing and guest lineup often reflect subtle leanings. Collins responded by pointing to appearances from figures such as Elizabeth Warren and Ted Cruz to illustrate ideological range. Maher argued that sporadic representation doesn't automatically guarantee neutrality. To him, balance is shaped not only by who appears on screen, but also by how conversations are structured.
Conservative in America, and I'm watching CNN, just for the straight middle of the road. That's what I hear for 15 minutes. It's great, and then Lonely Scott. It does look, I mean, and when you see the path, it does look like tokenism. It's kind of like the same as The View. It's like it's almost better to have nobody there, like MSNBC, than to have this.
The larger theme centered on the gap between presentation and perception. Maher contended that briefly spotlighting an opposing perspective, particularly in a confrontational setup, doesn't necessarily achieve meaningful equilibrium. If a network emphasizes impartiality as part of its identity, he maintained, that consistency must extend beyond branding. Audiences, he suggested, are quick to detect when tone and structure appear selectively curated. In his view, trust diminishes less from disagreement itself and more from perceived inconsistency.
Social Security Administration, there was $71 billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud, Peter.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just one year. And it was
$71 billion.
But it wasn't 1 year, it was over multiple years, from 2015 to 2022.
So are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money. Why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get
I
it.
just want to ask you,
We won't be deterred. We will not be deterred from
Another flashpoint emerged around statements concerning Social Security oversight. Collins cited a report from an inspector general indicating that many flagged names were not receiving improper payments. The rebuttal clarified that prior remarks referred to suspicions and unresolved inquiries rather than confirmed misconduct. The disagreement ultimately revolved around phrasing, the distinction between raising concerns and asserting verified conclusions. Each side maintained that their interpretation was accurate. What stood out to viewers wasn't simply the data, but how framing can transform nuance into a headline depending on emphasis and delivery.
that they believe there have been tens of millions of people who are receiving money who are dead on the Social Security list. The same report that you referred to said that none of those individuals are
Peter, did you watch the full clip of the interview that I did when I said that? And I said there are a lot of unanswered questions, and we suspect there could be tens of millions of people. So you just said what I said is not true. In fact, it was true. That's a suspicion that this